Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast. My name is Johnny, and you're on episode 3 of In My Feelings. Today, I'm probably just going to be talking about something that I have brought up in the past couple of videos. It was about being in Oshkosh and leaving Oshkosh, and I was talking to this one dude while I was in Oshkosh, and I was in a situationship for like about a year, and so I kind of just wanted to touch base on that topic because I feel that I haven't talked about him in so long, and so I feel that if I talk about him, maybe this will help me process my breakup with him. Even though we weren't even in a relationship, I feel like I need to talk about it to release some negative thoughts that I have had with this person. And so I guess I will start off with how I met this person. Him and I matched on Tinder, and I was the first to message him. And I asked right at the beginning of like our conversation, I was like, "Oh, what are you looking for?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm pretty open." And so we just had like a conversation here and there, and then I added him on Snapchat, and then from there on we just kept chatting, and I felt like we kind of liked each other's energy. And so one day I was in Appleton, and he was like, "Oh, like let's hang out." And then I was like, "Oh shit." Like, I was so scared to meet this person, and so I was actually in Appleton for a graduation party, and I was with my friend Max and some of our other friends, and I was so nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I want to meet this person, but at the same time, like, I don't know how to, like, bring this up, because I didn't tell anybody that I was talking to him. And so I lied to Max. I lied to Max and said that I was going to go hang out with a friend that we both knew. I told him that I was going to go hang out with that friend and that he can go back to Oshkosh first. And so he was like, "Okay, I'll meet up with you later." So I went and met up with him. And it was very, like, it was very good, but also very awkward at first. It was kind of awkward because we didn't really know how to start the conversation. And so he was like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I don't really know." So he brought me to a park. But before we went to the park, he took me to Culver's. And so we went to Culver's. We were just asking each other like personal questions like, "Oh, like what's your credit score?" Or like, "What do you like to do?" And stuff like that. And so it was just very like personal questions. And after we got to the park, we sat in his car and we were just like jamming to like really loud music. And then after that we went on a walk, and then kind of just talked about like life, like, "Oh, like what do you want in life, blah blah blah." And that's how I got to know him. And then after that we kept clicking, we kept hanging out, and we were just talking on the phone here every now and then. And then I thought it was going really well, and so yeah, it was really good. We chatted for like a few months until he invited me to go with him somewhere for his birthday. I forgot what town it was, but he asked me to go with him on a birthday trip with his dad and his girlfriend. And so we went, and he got a hotel, and I slept with him. We didn't do anything. I slept in the same bed as him, but we didn't do anything. And so, because we were just still like talking, like this was only a month after we first met, so everything was still like fresh, and like I didn't really want it to go anywhere, and he didn't want it to go anywhere either. So we were just talking a lot during his trip. We were doing a lot of like casino play and like all that fun stuff, and then we were both drinking, both asking very deep questions, and after that, it was really good. I should have known it was a red flag when later on he told me that he just asked me to go out of like, just like for the heck of it. Like he didn't really think that I would actually go. And so that was the first red flag, you guys. It was so like, I felt so embarrassed after he told me that because I'm like, okay, like if you didn't want me to go, why'd you ask? But I don't give a fuck. Like I still went. I had a fun time, and so I guess I just shouldn't have gone if he didn't really want me to go. But he asked me to go, so I don't know. And so after that, like I asked him on our first date, and then we went on our first date to Madison. We went and did a couple of things, and then yeah, after that we still chatted. I felt like this was like our third month into talking, and so I think that's when like things were starting to, like my feelings were starting to get more real. And like I told him straight up, I'm like, I think I have developed feelings for you, and like I was wondering if you felt the same, because if you didn't, like let me know now, because I don't want to keep this going on if you don't feel the same. And he told me that he felt some feelings for me, but it wasn't as deep as mine. Probably he didn't say this quote to quote. He was just basically telling me that he was developing feelings as well, and that he was open to continue talking to me, but nothing's very secured, because at the time he told me that he was going to be moving to Texas in like 8 months. So that was like next summer when we first started talking. And so I was like, okay, well, I am willing to keep this going if you are. And he was like, I'm cool with that. So we kept talking. And then he asked me out on a date. And so he took me on a date. And I guess I should have known better. Because when he took me on a date, he didn't really have it organized. He was asking me what I wanted to do, and I was like, okay, what the fuck? Do you not know how to plan dates? Because he got out of a 5-year relationship, took like a year or two gap before we started talking. And so, like, I'm not shitting on him, but I'll bring this topic back up later. And so he was like telling me all of this stuff, and that he didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I'm like, okay, we can just do whatever. So we went to a park, sat there for a little bit, and then he took me bowling and went to go eat at this restaurant in Appleton. I forgot what it was called, but it was really good. I really liked the burger there. And so I thought it was a good first date. Well, technically that would be my second date that I went on a guy. Yeah. Anyways, after that, I kind of just like kept feeling something after the third date. And the third date, we went to Chicago, and we did a lot of stuff over there. Not like anything sexual, but just more of like, went to go see this and that. And it was during winter, and he also broke his leg. And so it was a lot of like doing things together. And then after that, we kind of just kept going off and on of like wanting things and not wanting to be a thing, and then not wanting to be a thing. And so yeah, once it hit my birthday, I think that's when I should have definitely have let go of this person, because I felt like that was when I knew that it was time to let this go. Only because we have been talking ever since August. And so from August to January, I think that's like 4 months. Yeah. During this time, he was telling me that he did want to be with me, and that he did want to be in a serious relationship with me. But then he said that he was just so like, let me rephrase this. he told me that his shell was still closed off and that I needed to be the person to break it. And so I didn't really know what to do because I felt like this entire time I have been trying to open him up to me, as in like I have done so many things that I felt that as a significant other would do for you if they cared about you. And so I was really like confused, I would say, because I felt that I was doing everything in my power to like get him to open up to me, and that he was telling me he wasn't ready, but then at the same time he was telling me he's strapped in, he's not going anywhere. And I'm a very insecure person, and so when he was telling me that he was strapped in, he wasn't going anywhere, and that he does want to be with me, I held on to that hope. And so I guess that's why I kept it going longer than it should. And during this time, I noticed that I have been moving mountains for him and he didn't really do anything for me. And so I guess I should have taken that as like oh, he is not the one, like leave him, like yada yada yada. But I didn't, and I stayed because he told me that he was strapped in and that he wanted to be with me, and so that's why I decided to stay. And I guess that's where I feel that when you are in a situation with someone, even in a relationship, when they tell you that they want to be with you, but the actions don't show it, I think that's just when you need to question yourself if this is someone that you want to be with. And so during that time, I was like very new to like being in something a little serious with someone. And so, yeah, during that time, it was kind of hard for me to process that. And then as time went on, I noticed how distant he became, but I kept telling myself that it was nothing. And even when I did question him, he would kind of twist it to make it seem that he wasn't trying to distance himself. And so when I left Oshkosh, I noticed that everything was becoming very like just very distant. And so he, like all the sweaters that I gave him to wear, he gave it back to me and told me that when he leaves to Texas, he needs to have his closet more open. And then I started noticing many little things, and I feel like I'm such a person that notices like very little changes. And so I like noticed all of those changes, and I would question him about it, but he would give me the same response as to like, oh, like you don't need to worry, like this and that. And so I felt like he just changed, and I was having a hard time noticing that, and just having a hard time like picking up those little situations. And so we just kept it stretching, we just kept it going, and I felt every little change that happened, and I decided that all because he said that he was still strapped in, that I was trapped in. And so when it got towards the end of us, I took him on a trip to Chicago for his birthday. And during that time, I was having a really hard time with him because of a situation, which I don't know if I want to talk about, but I'll probably just talk about it anyways, because like, why not? And so he was talking to this one dude that he met before me, but he and him matched on Tinder as well. And during the beginning of our talking stage, he would go and meet up with this person. And so like they hung out here and there while we were talking also. And then like they were just, I don't know, I don't know what his intentions for him was, but it was really weird because like when I told him that it made me feel uncomfortable that he was still talking to him and stuff like that. Like obviously we're not dating, so I don't have a right to like tell him what he should do to that person, but I did have the right to feel how I felt, especially since that he told me that he wanted to be with me, and so I had a hard time with him still contacting that person when we were trying to be a thing, you know? And so I felt that he was losing interest in me, and so I guess I don't know if he went back to that one dude, but towards the end of our situationship, I found out that he was still messaging that one guy. And so I felt very like emotionally cheated on because like he told me that he unfriended him and everything until I found out that he was texting an unsaved number, and I confronted him about it, and he told me it was that one dude. And so yeah, I felt really emotionally cheated on because like what what are you still doing texting that person, you know? And so I was really hurt, but at the same time, like I needed to remind myself that we weren't dating and that he had every right to text whoever. But then at the same time, it's like he never wanted me to text anybody. And so I felt hurt from that. And so anyways, went to Chicago for his birthday. And so this would have been a whole year. And then the week after his birthday, he ended things with me. And it was because I was very hard on him. And I don't blame him because I felt like I became a person that I was not proud of. And I'm still not proud of it because that's just not how you treat somebody. But at the same time, I was so insecure and I don't know if it was immature or just so like I was just so out of it. I guess that all of my insecurities overcame me and I became a person that I never wanted to be. And so things ended, and it was a really hard breakup for me because I felt like I wasted an entire year with somebody that I could have been with somebody else. But I definitely needed the heartbreak because I felt that I would not have been where I am today without that lesson. And I think it really hurt me the most was when he told me that he wanted to be with me. And I was crying to my friends after the breakup. I was telling them like I think what hurt me the most was when our entire situationship, I told them that I was so afraid that he would leave me. And it got to the point where he actually left me. And I didn't know what to do because I felt that I invested so much of my time and energy into this person that they left me. And so looking back to that situation, I definitely needed to open my eyes when I felt the gut to leave. And I felt the gut to leave was during my birthday, and I didn't leave because he told me he wanted me, and I held on to that until he left me. And so trust your gut instincts, y'all. If your gut is telling you to leave, then leave. But if you want to stay, that is your choice, because at the end of the day, we're all human. But yeah. Um, it definitely took me a really long time to accept that we were no longer a thing. And I'm still finally accepting every piece of flaw that I have in me because I'm not perfect. But at the same time, I'm like, damn, he really did me dirty because I was treating him so well. I felt like I went out of my ways for this one person and he couldn't even go out of his ways for me. And so I felt really betrayed. And so if you're in a situationship, I would suggest you ask yourself if this person is worth fighting for. Because if it's been over a year and you're still in that situationship, you might as well just leave because I don't think it's going to go anywhere. But that's just from my experience. And so, yeah, it was really hard for me to deal with that. And after that breakup, I worked on myself. I lost 60 pounds. And it's been over a year. It's almost a year and a half, I think. I don't know. But I'm still learning to love myself, still learning to forgive myself. I'm still learning to accept that things didn't go my way and that it's okay because love is hard to take in and it's also hard to love someone, especially when they don't know how to love. And so I felt like I didn't spill the whole entire story, but I kind of just wanted to give like a little brief story of like what I went through. And so if you are struggling to forgive yourself or if you're struggling to find out if this situationship is worth fighting for, I think you really just need to dig deeper and ask yourself if you're willing to sacrifice your time to a person that may or may not have commitment issues. And if you're in the opposite shoe, if you're not committed or if you don't want to pursue with this person, you need to let them go because not only are you wasting their time, but you're also wasting your time. And I just wish that I would have gotten that go earlier. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it, to be honest. I feel like I had a hard time talking about this situation, but I definitely needed to let it out. And just talking about it kind of just made me feel a little bit better because I haven't talked about him in so long. And so, if you've made it this far, thank you very much for listening. Let me know if you want me to talk about him a little bit more. But thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.